Hey, it's Shona here with an Insights video, and today I want to ask you, how many of you guys have seen the movie Seabiscuit? I know this is backwards, but the horse looks good frontwards or backwards. Well, yesterday I took the afternoon and I watched Seabiscuit. It's the first time I've seen bits and pieces of it, but it's the first time I watched the whole thing from beginning to end. And I have to tell you, I was weepy the whole time, and by the end, I was just out and out sobbing. You know, bottom line, this is a story about brokenness and redemption and victory. And friends, I know that we're all broken. We all are broken to some extent. Some of us more than others. Some of us are broken big and some of us are broken little. But the bottom line is, while I was watching this movie, I saw so many parallels between the Christian journey and our brokenness, as this story chronicled the lives of many people, but mainly the story of a young jockey and a horse. So rather than just break down the movie to you, I'm going to share a few points that really made a profound impact on me and just really just made me think so much of our Christian journey along with who we are. So the first one I want to share is something that the trainer said. When the owner, the rich guy in the movie, decided that he wanted to race horses, he didn't know anything about it, so he had to find a trainer, someone that knew what they were doing. Well, he was walking through the stables and he was trying to find a trainer, and he noticed that there was a guy kind of outside the fold. And so he asked the gentleman showing him around, he said, "Well, who's that guy out there?" That gentleman said, "Oh, he's kind of a crackpot," and he just kind of waved him off. Well, there was something about him that the owner wanted to pursue, so he went and sat down and talked to him. Well, during this time that the owner and the trainer were getting acquainted, one of the things that the trainer said jumped out at me. He said, "You don't throw away a life just because it's beat up." I loved that because we're all beat up to some point. This trainer, his attitude of not wanting to throw anything away just because it's a little beat up, was that attitude that made Seabiscuit as a discarded horse stand out to him, and Red Pollard, the jockey that ultimately righted Seabiscuit, it's what caught his eye about that jockey. He saw something in both of them. He saw a beat up horse and a beat up boy, and he took him in. Now, did you know that that's like Jesus? Jesus sees you. That trainer saw a heart and a spirit in those two that not many saw. Jesus sees that same thing in you and me. And it's really a beautiful thing. And sometimes all we need when we're beat up is someone to believe in us, someone to show us, someone to give us that confidence, just someone to care. And Jesus will care for you. When no one else does, He's there. And He's really a great place to start. And that just tells me that no matter how beat up we get, we are worthy. Jesus is there, and He doesn't care how beat up we are. He sees our potential, just like this trainer saw the potential in Seabiscuit and in Red, the jockey. Now, this trainer, he was a very wise man. He knew horses so well. And another thing that he said is when after they had secured Seabiscuit and kind of saw what a wild horse he was, they put him out on the track, and instead of running like in a straight line like horses are supposed to run on a track, he ran. He ran like a zigzag. And he's like, "I don't know." He said, "I don't know what they've done to this horse, but he needs to learn to be a horse." And I loved that. And the way he did that, the way he taught Seabiscuit how to be a horse, is he didn't judge that horse. He didn't just stick him on the track and beat him into submission, beat him over the head with, "This is what a horse does." No, he took Seabiscuit and Red out to the countryside, and he told Red, "Ride this horse, to just let him run." So Red says, "Well, how far do I let him run?" And he says, "Let him run till he's finished." So the scene shows Red riding this horse all throughout the countryside. And when it comes back, that was a turning point in the horse's life. Because he didn't get judged, he got guidance. The trainer saw potential and did something and gave him that turning point. He just let him free. Now, I don't know what's happened to any of you out there. Some of you might be fine and some of you might be really hurting. But maybe you need to be freed like Seabiscuit was in that scene on the countryside. Maybe your freedom lies not in running, but maybe in grace. Maybe you just need to experience some grace, Jesus' grace. Maybe you need to extend grace. Maybe you need love, compassion, and kindness, or maybe you need to release that to show to other people. Maybe you need to forgive somebody, or maybe a guilt has you in shackles and you need to forgive yourself. I don't know what you need, but Jesus does. And a great place to start is just to grab a Bible. And if you can find a red letter Bible that has all of Jesus's words in red so they're easy to find, just watch and see who he or how he spoke to people and soak that in. That's a great place to start when you're broken and you need to be free to be you. One other thing that really that really shows the heart of the movie, because this movie's all about heart, is Red breaks his leg and he wants really desperately to ride Seabiscuit in a huge race, but they have to get another jockey because Red suffers a serious injury to his leg and ends up hospitalized. Well, he doesn't get to ride this race, but they decide that that they're going to race Seabiscuit again. So the jockey that had ridden him previously, the owner and the trainer asked him, "Well, what do you think about Red riding Seabiscuit?" And he said, he said, "It's better to break a man's legs than to break his heart." Well, Red, he wanted to ride that, and he'd come so far, but even though things were good, he still kept being beat down by life, and that's going to happen to us. He risked his ability to walk to ride that horse. Jesus sees your heart, but unlike this trainer and owner who were convinced to let Red ride even though he could seriously get injured again, Jesus sees a broader scope, and sometimes he's going to tell us no. I don't want to set you up thinking that Jesus is going to tell you yes for all of your heart's desires. Sometimes he knows what's best, so he's going to tell you no. So, but his intention is not like the world's, to break our heart. It's to give us guidance, and it's to put us in a better place, because he knows there's something better for us. We've got to trust Jesus. The world will break our heart, but Jesus won't. Now, another thing that I loved about it is Seabiscuit in the movie was dubbed the horse that wouldn't give up. And Seabiscuit, he was born to run, and Red, the jockey, was born to ride. I think of Jesus in this one. Jesus was born with a purpose, just like us, but Jesus' purpose was huge. He was battered his entire ministry, just like Red and Seabiscuit were battered for so much of their lives. The religious leaders that should have accepted him and embraced him during his ministry, they hated him and they scorned him. But he only needed the love and the encouragement of one, and that was God above. You only need the encouragement of one to lead you where you need to go. Because Jesus was spurred on by that one above, the needy loved him. The broken of the world loved him because he saw their heart, and he gave them a heart. He just wouldn't give up. Like Seabiscuit, he wouldn't give up. When he was flogged, he wouldn't give up. When a crown of thorns was thrust down in mockery on his head, he didn't give up. He didn't give up because his purpose, his mission, was to get to the cross and to rise again. And he did. He wanted to save a broken world. That's you and me. His purpose was to save the broken world, just like Seabiscuit's was to run and Red's was to ride. So Jesus died because our brokenness and because of our sin. That was his purpose. And because he did that, he allows us and gives us an opportunity to do our purpose and to seek it. Well, our heart, even in our brokenness, our heart is not defined by that brokenness. It's defined by Jesus when our heart belongs to him. Our hope as broken people lies in Jesus. Our victories might look way different, but when we have it in Jesus, that's it. We can find victory just like Red and Seabiscuit. Don't give up, because your victory is out there. Be inspired by Jesus, be inspired by Seabiscuit, and be inspired by Red today. And if you get a chance and haven't seen it, I highly recommend that you grab and you watch this movie.